Alright, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the 10-game NBA slate for tonight. We've got a nice big slate, so not too much time to waste. Let's get right into it. As always, appreciate you guys. Hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support you guys have been showing. The numbers have been growing, and I love to see it. As if you want to get updates throughout the day, yesterday the slate completely changed once not only Durant was out, but then Kyrie was out. I posted my cores on Twitter close to lock, and had success on Fanduel with a 351, even with Morant getting hurt. And then Draftkings fell short. It was pretty high scoring on Draftkings, missed it by just a couple pivots. Could have definitely changed some things. But looking at today, I have a lot to discuss, so let's get into it. And also, if you want to join us, you can visit the website. Link is in the description. But I guess we'll go game by game. I'll kind of go quickly. I think it's kind of helps to just kind of look at each game and just see what players stick out to you in a first look sense. So first game, you have the Knicks and the Cavs. This game is in Cleveland. The Cavs have started the season 3-0, so they are rolling right now. They're going to be missing Kevin Love in this one. This game is going to be pretty close, I think. I think the Knicks will hang in this game. And the Cavs have some players that I do like. Starts with Andre Drummond at 8,700. No Kevin Love just makes him look even better. He has just been absolutely crushing in terms of fantasy points this season. 57 in just 26 minutes against the Sixers. Put up 64 in that double overtime game against Detroit. And then the first game, he struggled mightily, but he still was solid like in terms of point per minute production. And no Kevin Love today. I think he's the best center play on the slate. So I'll start with Andre Drummond. In this first game, he's the piece that I want the most of. On the Knicks side, I'm not that interested in paying 8,200 for Randall on a 10-game slate. Barrett, I'm not paying 71 for them. I don't like anybody really on the Knicks. If you had to, it would be Elfrid Payton as a tournament play, just because he always has that sort of upside, but he also has the upside to absolutely just kill you. So that's why he will never be more than just a tournament play at this sort of price point. So I will be not interested in him, really, unless you make a bunch of teams. On the Cavs side, you could look to Larry Nance at 6,300. I'd rather pay up a little bit more for Drummond because Nance, even though he did have that big game in that first game, he still sometimes isn't the highest usage player. Average has like a sub 15% usage rate. And I think Drummond is going to get all the rebounds. So you're going to need him to probably facilitate a little bit and score above his average. And he's been shooting the ball like 5 of 6, 5 of 9 in his 2 games that he had success. I don't think that's going to continue. So I'd like Drummond a lot more than Larry Nance right now. And then you can look at some of the guards. I'm not interested in Sexton at 69, but I think Garland, you could take a shot there. They're going to need some more scoring without Kevin Love. Believe Okoro is still out, so they are still somewhat shorthanded on the team. So you can definitely look to like Garland at a sub $6,000 price tag. Moving on to the second game, the Warriors and the Pistons. The Warriors coming off of their first win of the season thanks to Damian Lee hitting that three-pointer at with like 2 seconds or 1 second left. Steph Curry's up to 9,600. That is a highest price point I believe he's been all season. And I think it's a spot where you can go to him if you want to, but you have Russell Westbrook at 9,700, who we'll get to. I think Westbrook looks better just because his all-around production is better than Curry's. In this game, I'm not really that interested in the Pistons side. They were a good value play yesterday with DeLon Wright, with Jeremy Grant, that Josh Jackson also do well, even Plumlee. But today, now that Griffin is going to be back and now that Derrick Rose is back, I don't see myself going back to Grant at 65, going with, I guess you could play Plumlee. His price tag hasn't moved at 57. But I don't see myself really going back to the Pistons like we had yesterday. It was also a much shorter slate. And then the Warriors side, if you're not playing really Steph Curry, you could look to maybe Wiseman at 59 with still no Green. And then Kelly Oubre has just looked so bad this season. Shooting the basketball has just been super, super ugly. I don't know what's happened to him. 3 of 16, 1 of 10, 3 of 14. Hasn't made a 3. He's 0 for 17. If he happens to make some shots, last game he would have really hit value, but I just have to see it to believe it right now with Kelly Oubre. And it's not like Wiggins is lighting it up either. He's also been really struggling. So I'll take a bit of a wait-and-see approach on those two guys. Moving on to the third game, we have Boston and the Pacers. In this one, this game is, they just played that. Both these teams just played the last game together. You have Tatum at 8,800 coming off of a decent game with 48 fantasy points. On the Pacer side, I'm really looking at Sabonis, who's just picked up right where he's left off. He's logging huge minutes if he's not in any sort of foul trouble. He played 41 in that game against Boston. That was on a back-to-back, so they still threw him out there, even though he missed a couple months to end the season last year. But he just looks really, really good. I think he looks like a strong play on the Pacer side. If you wanted to play any Pacer, it would be Sabonis as my favorite at 86, and then it would be followed by Brogdon, and then Oladipo, and then actually Brogdon, Warren, and then Oladipo. And then on the Boston side, it's definitely Tatum as the best spend up. Brown's price tag is getting closer to Tatum, so I would just go to Tatum. 75 is somewhat expensive for Brown. And then Jeff Teague had that very good first game, and then he's kind of resorted back to being Jeff Teague. 2 awful games in a row. Price tag is 4,300, getting around 20 to 25 minutes if he's depending on how he's playing. Not that interested. And then Smart, 65. You're going to need him to play well. Also, not that interested in Smart. So besides Sabonis and a few other pieces on the Pacers, I'm not that interested in the third game. Fourth game, you have the Sixers and the Toronto Raptors in Philly. Embiid should be back after missing the game against the Cavs. At 9,800, he's expensive, so I think there's better spend up plays on the slate. It's also a tougher spot against tough defensive spot against Toronto. Some of the pieces that I do like in this game are some of the value pieces. Like Danny Green is 3,500. If you need a cheap shooting guard / small forward, it could definitely be Danny Green. He's going to get you probably in the 20s minutes today. I know 2 games he's logged under 20 this season, but Korkmaz is out for a few weeks, and he's been logging like 17, 18. He's kind of been splitting some work with Danny Green, and now that he's going to miss a few weeks, I definitely think you're going to see Green play a little bit more, maybe even get you like 25 to 28 today. And he's only 3,500. His price tag keeps going down, so he's worth a shot. And then on the Toronto side, you have Kyle Lowry, who they said they're going to take it a little bit easy on him to start the season, but it hasn't been the case. 39 minutes and 35. At 7,500, he looks solid. And then also Siakam looks like a good play at 82. And then Boucher's price tag is now at 58. He's just been killing it off the bench. I think it's a matter of time before he jumps into the starting lineup. Worthy of a tournament play, but 7 blocks is what kind of carried him. Definitely don't think that's going to happen again. So far, I think definitely the first game has the most appeal to me. This next game will definitely have some. Chicago and Washington. You have 2 bad defensive teams. The Wizards blowing that big lead, blowing a double-digit lead to the Magic in the last game. They didn't have Westbrook. They're getting him back. He's 9,700. He's been really good. 2 triple-doubles to start the season. Even playing next to Bradley Beal hasn't slowed him down at all, even though he shot pretty poorly, 40% and 31% in the 2 games. He's been killing it. Now to match up against Chicago, you can definitely expect Russell Westbrook to have a big game. If we get some more value on the slate, he'll definitely be my favorite spend up at 97. Kobe White is 6,500. He's been playing up and down. He has finally had a good game last game. His last 2 games, he's been able to hit the 3 ball, which is nice to see. But the Bulls just haven't been winning. Almost had a chance to win that last game, but ended up losing because of Damian Lee. 65 for White is worthy of a shot, but I think I might rather take a shot on like Satoransky at 3,500. I don't know why he's that cheap. It's a revenge spot for Sato if you're interested in that. He played 25 and 23 minutes, put up 29 fantasy points at 4,900. Then his price tag went down to 43. Now it's down to 35, and he's still getting you good minutes off the bench, kind of like a sixth / 7th man role. And I think he looks good today. That's a nice value play. We'll probably put him at utility or in the guard spot for now, but I think he looks to be like between him and Danny Green. I think Satoransky gives you a little bit more upside just because he's handling the ball when he comes in the game. And I think 35 is just such a nice price point. So definitely like Sato in this game just based on his price tag. On the Wizards side, it's going to be Russell Westbrook as my favorite play. And then you could go to Bradley Beal, but I definitely like Westbrook more than him. And then I don't see myself really going to anybody else. We'll see. Depending on marketing news, if he's out, then you could look to like maybe Otto Porter would be somewhat interesting, but he's kind of priced where he should be. And they priced up Thomas Bryant and Wendell Carter, so not looking at either of those guys. On this next game, you have the Bucks and the Heat. The Heat are going to be appealing today because Butler is doubtful, and the DraftKings did not price up guys appropriately. This game, you can definitely do it as a sort of sneaky game stack because the price tags on the Bucks are also affordable. 67 for Drew Holiday, 77 for Middleton, and 10-8 for Giannis. Like that's a nice three-man stack there. And then you can run it back with a couple of Heat players that are going to benefit without Jimmy Butler. And it's going to start with Dragic and Tyler Hero, two guys that are just going to benefit a lot in terms of usage and handling the ball. So Dragic play a lot last game. He should. I think he definitely has a chance to start in this game if they wanted to, because Milwaukee plays with like a lot of guards. So I could see him starting. But even if he comes off the bench, I think he's going to be a good play. 58 is just not priced where he should be with no Butler. So definitely looking at Dragic today. And then Tyler Hero, he had a bad game on Christmas Day, but he also only shot 3 of 10, and it was also a game where Duncan Robinson was just unstoppable. I definitely expect him to have a much better game in this one. Still seeing good minutes, and he's still going to kind of have to definitely have to shoot a lot, and will have to facilitate a little bit more without Butler, and maybe have more rebounding opportunities. So definitely looking at Tyler Hero and his pretty cheap price tag. Alrighty, moving on. You have, like I mentioned, Giannis looks okay at 10-8 if you wanted to do some sort of game stack here. And then Bam at 8K. He's in play, but I like the two cheaper guards a little bit more. Alright, moving on. We have OKC and Orlando. OKC has surprisingly been able to stay in some of their games. They had that victory in the first game and then just barely lost to the Jazz yesterday. It is a back-to-back for them. But I think you could look to a few pieces, and it's going to start with SGA at 8,100. He looks in play just because he's going to shoot 20 plus times, and you happen to have one outlier good shooting game, he's going to crush at that salary. So SGA is the main piece that you want to take a shot on the OKC side. On the Orlando side, you have Vucevic, who I like at 83. You have Markelle Fultz at 61, who's in play. Baisley, another piece that I like on the Toronto side. And they kind of priced up like George Hill. He's up to 48 now. Still somewhat in play, but I think you could look to like Lou Dort a little bit cheaper. Or look to Diallo if you needed a punt play. And then he's not getting enough minutes, but when he starts to get more minutes, I think Cole Anthony, whenever if there happens to be a game where like Fultz happens to miss or like Fournier is out, and Anthony's been crushing off the bench, like doing a little bit of everything, and just want one game where he gets good minutes because definitely could see him crushing. So this game not the best to target, I don't think, except for a few pieces. We'll move on to another appealing game, Minnesota and the Clippers. This game is appealing mainly from depending on Kawhi news, it'll be somewhat appealing from the Clippers side, but I have more interest in the Minnesota side right now because there's no Karl-Anthony Towns. So you're going to see Naz Reid start and probably play 30 minutes if he doesn't foul and get into foul trouble. I shot 13 times in 28 minutes. That game was a blowout. He was the best player in the starting lineup, probably the best player in the game for the Timberwolves. They got blown out. Russell really struggled. You had Edwards shoot 21 times off the bench. You could take a shot with him just because the volume is there and the usage. But it's still a little bit scary with going to a guy that's kind of just going to be a little bit reliant on scoring. I'd rather take a shot on Naz Reid. I think it can get you a double-double. And I do like Russell at 76. If you want to play him, you definitely can. Moving on, we have the Pelicans and the Suns. This game will definitely be some fun here. The Pelicans have looked pretty solid. They have Ingram and Zion have been carrying them. Ingram is 8,200. He's had two big games to start the season. I like him a lot today. I think you can play Zion as well at 81. He's no longer like on a minutes limit or anything. He's played 38 in his last two games. So he is just free, unleashed, and just ready to dunk on people. And then on the Sun side, you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker lead the show. But you've seen Bridges be a big factor. He's 6,200, so I'm not interested, but he's been shooting the lights out. You have Johnson off the bench at 44 if you wanted to go there. Really, I think I like the Pelican side a little bit more, and I think it's gonna start with Brandon Ingram at that salary at 8,200. And in the last game, we have the Nuggets and the Kings. Leaves you still have 6,500 to work with. I think this game is appealing. Nuggets are on a back-to-back, but you could play Jokic. It was awesome yesterday. Definitely looks appealing. I think Murray looks appealing as well, but I like Fox at 76 more than Murray based on the salary difference. Like Fox, I'm expecting a bounce back game after his worst game of the season, but before that, 40 and 44 and a half. Even though he didn't shoot particularly well, he gives you double upside with assists, playing good minutes. Fox is my favorite piece on the King side, followed by Bagley at 5,400. That's a nice price tag. The minutes are a little bit down on him still, but first game he fouled out, and then it was a back-to-back situation, and they're kind of monitoring him a little bit because he's missed so much time with injuries. But I think he's kind of, I mean, there's a chance he gets up to 30 minutes at least today if he's not in foul trouble. And at 54, I think he looks appealing. And then the Nuggets side, it's just Jokic as a favorite play, and then you can look to Murray at 7K, and then look to Michael Porter at 6,400. But Porter is always tough to trust him because the minutes sometimes are not there, like 23 and 24 after play 30 in the opener. You wish like that would kind of be consistent, but it just isn't. So that's kind of it for the game by game breakdown. First, kind of look at the slate. I think these six look appealing. Let's jump over to Fanduel. All right, over on Fanduel here, we'll start at point guard. Westbrook is 10-6. He still looks appealing on Fanduel. Like I like him quite a bit today. If we get some more value on the slate, Curry is 94. He looks okay. I like Fox a lot at 7,900. And then like Garland is up to 7K on FanDuel, so not interested there. I'd rather take a shot on Dragic at 69. Hopefully he starts in this game, even if he comes off the bench. It's not the worst thing in the world. But Jamal Murray's only 6,600. That looks like sort of a misprice tag on Murray. On Murray's part, he can definitely crush in this game. So he's one guy that just jumps off the page. Holiday's only 6,400. He's another guy that I like. And then it kind of just dies off. So I think your probably best bet is to look at some pieces above 6K. And you have Kobe White at 59, so that looks appealing as well. Hopefully he can kind of shoot the ball well like he's been the last couple games. But I think everything considered, I kind of would probably take a shot on like a Fox at only 7,900. I'm expecting a pretty big game from Fox in this one. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal is 96. I will not have the cap to get up to him. No Butler in this one, so you can look to Hero. I believe he's small forward on FanDuel, though, so we'll get to him. But at shooting guard, you have SGA, who looks good. You have Paul George, depending on Kawhi news. You have Zach LaVine at 7,500. You have D'Angelo Russell at 73. And then you have below 55, you have Buddy Hield at just 54. Beasley at 53. And then Bledsoe has just been so bad the last two games that they priced him at 48. People are definitely going to go to him, but I don't think I will. And then I don't see myself right now going to anybody that's this cheap. So I think I'll stick with Zach LaVine at 75. I like the price tag. I like the matchup against Washington. I think he will definitely have to score to keep them in the game and hopefully can build off of last game's performance. Small forward, we have Ingram 85, Brown 8K. I like Ingram. And then keep scrolling a little bit. Definitely get to Tyler Hero. See his price tag is 45, so just plug in Tyler Hero. That's just incredibly cheap for some reason. So Hero is the best play at small forward. You have Nance at 55. He's worthy of a look. And then the position, there's not that much depth here. You have TJ Warren at 51. He can also light it up. So if you're not going expensive, go cheap at small forward. Power forward, Giannis is 11K. I don't think I'll get to him. I like Zion a little bit. I like Sabonis a little bit more. And then below 7K, below 8K, you have Julius Randle at 77. If you're playing Drummond, you can play Randle on FanDuel and kind of run it back. I like Bagley's price tag at 51. And then Naz Reid is 45. So he's another nice value play. And then center, it's Jokic Embiid and Drummond that stick out. I think Drummond looks really good against the Knicks. If you have more cap, you can easily get up to Jokic. It is a back-to-back for the Nuggets, though. This early in the season, we'll see what some of these teams do. But I definitely like Drummond. Without Kevin Love, I think he just looks so good on Fanduel. Looks even better, even though he's more expensive. But he's just so good at getting blocks and steals. He racked up 5, and then he racked up 7 the game before, and then 5 is 15 fantasy points, 7 is 21. So he's just killing it in that category, and expecting another big game in that department against a Knicks team that definitely will turn the ball over. And going with these 5 still leaves you with 6,500. So plenty to work with. But that's it for the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Can drop a like if you did, and best of luck.